Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for The Changeling, which is episode 8 of season 2 of Star Trek The Original Series. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Star Trek as determined by my user polls. The episode to win my latest user poll is for the original series is the second season episode, The Changeling. So The Changeling is the episode where a small probe wipes out all life in the solar system that the Enterprise is near, and then it tries to destroy the Enterprise, and they find out that it's a tiny little robot named Nomad who was based off of a probe that's sent from Earth in the 21st century, I think. And the little probe apparently was hijacked by aliens, and it combined with a alien farming probe that so it feels it's got its mission confused, and thinks its mission, rather to seek out all life forms, is to sterilize all life forms that are imperfect. And so Kirk has convinced it that he is its creator. James, I can't remember his first name, but something Roy Kirk, and trying to get it to not kill everyone, but then it starts killing random people on the ship, and is planning on going to Earth in order to wipe everyone out. And so Kirk has to convince it that it is not perfect by revealing that he is in fact not Roy Kirk, and therefore Nomad is in error, so he must sterilize himself, and so he does, and the day is saved. So this isn't about the founders. It is confusing that the term changeling would be used to describe an important species in Deep Space Nine, but that didn't happen till 30 years later or something like that. It's more based off of the old myth, whatever. Both of them are just very different things. I think it's more appropriate for the founders since they can shapeshift. But whatever. I guess it's less important here. Now, I gotta talk about Star Trek the Motion Picture, because I've heard people refer to Star Trek the Motion Picture as where Nomad has gone before, which I find very clever, because basically it's very similar to this episode, and in fact I would be as bold to say that this episode's better than that movie. Some people have said, especially with the years, it's become kind of hipster, cool, trendy to like Star Trek the Motion Picture. But I've seen it many of times, and I try to give it a shot, and it's just a badly created film because it's just boring. I feel like if you indulge in ship porn where people just staring at the Enterprise for so long, the actual story could have been summed up in 45 minutes, and it would have been better. Which, hey, that's what this episode did. It summed it up in 45 minutes, and it's better. And frankly, I've talked about this episode a lot because I really, really like this. It's probably in my top 10 favorite episodes of the original series. I feel the tension. This is one of the most high tension episodes of the original series. I think it really gets does a really good job of getting across the feeling of tension. The high stakes are really across, because this thing is fucking dangerous. This thing wiped out an entire planet of intelligent life forms, of humanoid species, just wiped them out without a second thought, and then we could have very easily destroyed the Enterprise. And now it's floating around the Enterprise killing red shirts, and threatening to kill everyone on Earth. It's I think it does the best job. And this, comparing it once again to where Nomad has gone before, Star Trek the Motionless Picture, where they spend 10 minutes looking at the fucking trippy lights of V'Ger or whatever. But anyway, Spock goes out and tries to have a mind meld in the spacesuit, and gives a Vulcan nerve pinch to Disco Joe there. But anyway, here to talk about fucking the Motionless Picture. But this is much better because I actually didn't feel the stakes. first of all, the drawing it out and making it so staring at pretty lights for 10, 15 minutes at a time kind of takes away from the tension, and I did not feel it. Like, the characters on the Enterprise, I didn't, like, Earth was at stake. In fact, V'ger was a lot closer to Earth than Nomad was, so the stakes were a lot more immediate, but I just didn't feel them. I just didn't feel like anyone cared. Like, this is like story writing 101. The audience is going to care as much as your characters does. It doesn't matter how big the stakes are. The stakes could be Earth is going to be destroyed, or the stakes could be I'm not going to be able to go out on the prom with this girl I want to. They both could work equally depending on how well the characters care about the stakes. That's where your hook is. That's where the audience is going to be invested. If the characters cares, the audience will care. And I felt like the original in the Motionless Picture that they didn't really care. Like, I didn't feel the stakes. This episode, I totally fucking feel the stakes. I feel them very high. Like, again, there's this that what's her face probe or whatever who's walking around the ship. Like, I wasn't scared of her. Like, she was just like a V'ger. Like, she's just all weird. Like, and they did kill the real what's her face, but I still didn't care. Like, I wasn't scared of her. I didn't feel the tension when the fucking Nomad, even though we're watching it now and the special effects look terrible, looks like you can kind of see the string that it's moving on. I'm still scared of the fucking thing because because the characters are selling it, the actors are selling it. They're doing a really good job of selling just how fucked up it is. And I do kind of like how every time Kirk sends a red shirt to look after Nomad, he's basically writing their death sentence. Like, he doesn't really care. It's like, oh, Singh, why don't you stay here and like babysit Nomad while we go off? And he was like, sir? And then Kirk's like, yeah, whatever, fine. Just fucks off and just leaves him there to get killed by this evil machine. And then he has like 2 security guys. Oh, well, watch over Nomad. And of course Nomad's gonna fucking kill them. Like, it's just like completely obliterates the brig, and they fire their fucking phasers at it, which of course do nothing, and they're dead. I mean, this thing could easily destroy the entire ship, and they can wipe out an entire species of evolved, warp capable aliens, and now the fucking red shirt Joe thinks he's gonna shoot you with his phaser. You're dead. But I still like. Although, to be clear, it doesn't, like, approach, because I was just watching and hearing about horror movies where people are really dumb and do shit that's really dumb, where obviously they're gonna get killed. Like, the prime example of this is the Alien Covenant, where the android guy is like, here, look at this egg, and he like shoves his face like right in that alien egg, and of course the face hugger comes out. Like, of course, like, why are you such an idiot? Like, why would you actually do that? But I don't think this qualifies for that, because they are security guys, and they were told to keep Nomad, and to be fair, they want to stop Nomad from destroying the entire ship. So if they want to have to sacrifice their lives on the off chance to try to stop this thing from like killing all human life on Earth, then I buy that they would do it, even if they had a snowball's chance in hell of actually killing him. Of course they'd try. They wouldn't just go, oh, well, let's just let Nomad run around. It's not like it's our fucking job to save the ship. So I do buy their motivation, but again, it's kind of like red shirt, red shirt, red shirt. Anyway, it's just creepy. Like, I love how when they try to figure out what it is, like, because for the Enterprise was about to be destroyed at the start of this episode, but since it's like, this is James Kirk, we're on a peaceful mission, and it stopped, and it's like, repeat your message, who are you, what? And so he thinks he's Roy Kirk. He's like, you are the creator, and so it comes on board, and I like how like Spock was like smart enough to figure this out, because Kirk is like, oh no, he was about to say, I'm not the creator, what the fuck you're talking about? And Spock's like, no, you're correct, he's the creator. And then Kirk's like, what's that about? He's like, no, he's gonna kill us all, Unless he thinks you're the creator, so just go with it. I love that Spock is like willing to sort of bend the truth, shall we say, in that manner, because he's intelligent and smart enough to know that their lives all depend on it. So I don't think he minds bending the truth a bit in this matter. And it's just, as I said, the rest of the episode is really, really fucking creepy. Like this thing, even though it's like obviously a trash can that's on the string, it's going around the ship like doing up to weird shit, and their people, the crew is pretty much powerless to stop it. It can't really. Every time it tries to get in his way, they just dead. Same with Scotty. And I remember first watching this. Of course, I knew Scotty was in the films because I've seen the films at this point. When they killed Scotty, I was like, what? Well, you didn't just kill Scotty, but then of course it brings Scotty back to life, plot convenience or whatever. But it like erases like Uhura's freaking whole like personality. This I think is, I don't know, a bit of a stretch that she's perfectly fine by the next episode. Where in this episode she's like at third grade level education or whatever. But whatever. No, it's like first grade. She was like saying the ball or whatever. So, yeah, and the fact that she's perfectly fine. I guess you could always make the BS excuse, well, the next episode takes place like 6 months later, which is bullshit. But whatever, who cares? It's still really, really intense, like the tension of this little meeting. And also, I gotta talk about the scene where Spock has given Nomad a mind meld, which is I think a really classic, really cool scene. Although, can he really mind meld with with a robot, mechanical device? In Next Generation, Counselor Troy can't feel anything off of Data, although when Data gets the emotion chip, she says she can sense emotions from him. So, I don't know. Maybe telepathy does work on intelligence, life form, artificial intelligence, but I don't know. I feel like Nomad is not as developed as Data. Has all of his claims about fucking being perfect or whatever. I don't know. I still find it a bit hard to believe, but it's a very good scene. It's a very creepy scene because that's when they, you find out the origins of it, that it was, it was the Nomad probe sent from Earth, which is just there to explore, not Voyager 6 that combines with Voyager. Oh wait, that's the other thing that ripped it off. But anyway, but it's combined with this other alien probe that had a sterilization protocol, and so they got this thing confused and thought that it was, and that's when we learned it. And that was a really cool scene, the way like Spock was like, sterilize, and then Kirk had to like pull him off and be like, no man, stop it. It was like really intense, and just the casual way Nomad's like acknowledged. Like I think what makes Nomad like an effectively creepy villain for me is just how nonchalant it is. He's just like, and he's just, I think it's better than a lot of other sort of robot-esque villains, because he's just like, he's not vicious like the Terminator or whatever. He's not like doom and gloom, I must kill you, whatever. He's just more matter of fact. You're imperfect, so I'm going to sterilize you. Nothing to it. And just the way, and I love his interactions with Kirk is like affirmative when he was like, stop it, no man, or whatever. But let's come to my favorite scene. And this is something I just talked about when I did my review of the original series season 2 as a whole, where I covered every episode of the original series of season 2, which you can find on my channel. Plug. I just talked about this where there were several episodes in the original series up to this point that had artificial intelligent like robot nemesis, shall we call them, and Kirk kind of logics them to death. There was the what was that one called with the Mormon they're like, come for the festival, God, Return of the Archons, yeah, that's it. So there was that And I thought that was so dumb when he logicked the computer to death. Like, that's not... Like, the 60s had a really crazy idea of how they think artificial intelligence would work. And it's the same thing with the iMud episode, where they just started acting all weird and crazy and, like, miming shit, and that caused these androids to shut down. No, it fucking wouldn't. That's not how androids work. You can't just, like, present them with a logic problem. And I guess Next Generation even did this too when they, in episode I, Borg, where they said they could completely destroy the Borg by giving it a image that couldn't actually exist in real life. Like, I couldn't imagine the Borg and Voyager would be like, oh yeah, that's an image that can't exist in real life, so what, fuck it. Put it aside, who cares? Like, why would that wouldn't actually destroy? But anyway, getting sidetracked. Star Trek has a history of doing that logic, and they even Lower Decks, even, which I loved because it was making fun of this trope, where it had that evil computer played by Jeffrey Combs, that Boimler was just like, shut up or I'll logic you to death. Oh no, that wasn't actually Boeing. That was, but it was a similar situation. But no, it was actually the same one from Return of the Archons when Captain Freeman went to visit, and it was like it was trying to cause trouble again. It was like, kill them, blah blah blah, and Captain Freeman is like, shut up or I'll logic you. It was like, and it was like, oh, I apologize. Anyway, it's a stupid trope, which I thought was ridiculous in the original series. In this episode, subverts it. In this episode, I actually buy it. I actually buy that he logics. Oh yeah, and there's the Ultimate Computer, the other episode I just reviewed, where he guilt trips the computer to death. He causes it to want to commit suicide by making it feel guilty. Anyway, all that is bullshit. This one I buy. This one actually really, really works for me because I buy it. Because Nomad, the whole point is Nomad's like fucked up purpose because he's been combined with this other alien probe and had programming that nobody intended to have, where he thinks that he's going around wiping, and he needs to sterilize all beings that aren't perfect, which includes pretty much every organic being of pretty much everything, because no one's perfect. So it's a really fucked up programming, and Kirk actually is very right to point out that that program that doesn't make any sense, because he himself is not perfect, and it's not, because his programming is fucked up. It's the result of an accident, and he's so confused that he thinks that Kirk is his creator when he's not, and he so it's clearly not a perfect being, and because Nomad's programming is specifically to sterilize imperfect beings, and Kirk points it out flat out, very logically, and as I said, this Nomad is not evil, it's not angry, it's not upset, it's just flat out logic. It's just programming is really fucked up, and so but it has to listen to that logic, which is what I love. Unlike that episode, a Voyager with the smart missile, what's it called? God damn it, I'm forgetting all the names of the episodes. The one that B'Elanna reprogrammed to destroy Cardassian targets, that one was being completely fucking obtuse. It kept insisting it wasn't in the Delta Quadrant, and it was a fucking idiot. Of course you're in the Delta Quadrant. Who would fucking knows in the Delta Quadrant? So that episode pissed me off because of that. But this one, it's actually true to Nomad's programming that he wouldn't have that sort of obtuse, oh no I'm not kind of attitude, because he has no ego. It's just flat out logic. And then when Kirk just very rightfully points out that your job is to sterilize stuff that's in error, that's imperfect, well guess what? You're in error and you're imperfect, so you need to sterilize yourself. And it worked, and I buy that it works. So this is the only time that Kirk sort of talked a computer to death that I actually think works. And in fact, not only does it work, I love it. I love the execution of it. Now, I always kind of make fun of William Shatner and his horrible acting, and I am not backing down from that. I stand very firmly behind the fact that he is not a good actor. But sometimes I do like him. And this is one of the occasions in this episode, like, I love how he's just calmly talking to Nomad. He's like, so I'm the creator. It's like, you are the creator. You need to sterilize everything that's imperfect. Everything in error must be sterilized. And so you need to sterilize because I'm the creator, right? It's like, yes, you're a creator. You're wrong! I fucking love when he says that. I just love the way he just turns around. He's like, you're wrong! I'm not the creator. Roy Kirk was your creator. He's dead. You made an error. You made a second error by not recognizing that I wasn't the creator. And you made a third error by not sterilizing yourself. And then it just starts freaking out going, error, error. I fucking love this scene so much. I gotta be honest, it's like one of my favorite scenes of the original series. It's definitely one of my favorite William Shatner moments. Just the way he's like, you're wrong! Oh my god. And I always quote this to myself in my head, the way that Nomad is like screeching and freaking out. Like, error, error, analyze error. And I love how Kirk calls over Spock and Scotty with their little anti-grav things to like take it out and put it on the ship, and Kirk's like, alright, we need to get this off the ship immediately, and Spock's like, very observant, Captain, we're in grave danger. And just, I love the calm way he says that too, although Spock kind of takes some time out to stand there and say that. I'm like, yeah, if you're in grave danger, stop yapping and get this fucking thing off the ship. And also when they get in the transporter room, Kirk is like, hold. And then he's like, Nomad, execute your prime function, sterilize. And the whole time Nomad's freaking like, error, analyze. How does Kirk know that it's not going to just blow up right there? Like, how does that, why did he go hold? Like, I see, I mean, I understand what they're getting at. He wants to make sure that it just self-destructed, there's no doubt. But how does he know it's not going to do it while it's still in the Enterprise? In which case, that would destroy the Enterprise. And like, so it's like, Kirk, maybe the safest option is to stop yapping and get it off the fucking ship. Maybe, just possibly, just throwing that option out there. But I love this episode. I do. I mean, there's not much to it, which is probably why it's not. I'm not gonna. All right, let me stop beating around the bush. My rating for the Changeling out of 10 is a 9. Excellent. Doesn't quite make that 10 for me because it's, I guess there needs to be more to it to make the 10. Like, it's not like a perfect episode that completely blows me away. But it's a high 9 because I do love this episode. It is a bit slow moving, but of course seeing the alternative, the motionless picture, is way more slow moving. It actually seems kind of fast paced in comparison to that. But and it's a bottle episode, and I think it's a good use of a bottle episode. It takes place entirely on the ship. They don't really use that many guest stars. It just has this floating tin can on the screen on a string that goes ooh. So it's a low budget episode, but I actually like those low budget episodes that they make intense. And this episode is super intense. Like, I still think it's one of the most suspenseful episodes of all of Star Trek, not just the original series, but the entire franchise. I think it has that high tension on edge of the seat, nervous things that I think few other episodes have. And I think this is probably the most tense episode of the original series, if I do say so myself. Anyway, so that's it for... You're wrong! Sorry. You're wrong. That's what I say if you don't like this episode. It's like, Mark, a 9's too high. It's not really that good. It's just an average episode. Well, to quote the great Captain Kirk, you're wrong! Anyway, that's it for my review of The Changeling. Be sure to check out my channel for more reviews on all sorts of Star Trek, all over the place, all kinds of Star Trek. And I guess I'm reviewing that piece of crap Picard at the moment, since it just happens to be on. But you can also check out my channel for many more shows, reviews on shows like Star Wars, The Clone Wars, The Expanse, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that, and thanks a lot for watching.